There's been a power cut here, so you're going to have to be patient if there's any glitches this evening, like double music. But it's so like that as well. Hello, everybody. Tom Sykes, the Royalist here in blue today, in royal blue. And we have had a power cut, as those of you who've been waiting very patiently for me to come on. So thanks for your patience. I'm glad to say we're here now. So lots of news happening today. We're going to get to it all bit by bit. And I just wanted to say thanks so much to everybody for all your amazing comments and support yesterday. As you know, we did this story about the Mail reporting that Harry and Meghan were going to be offered Highgrove when they come over for the Invictus Games 1 year to go in July. As we were on air, the story was taken down. Very unusual. The Mail don't often take stuff down. As there is the screen grab that, thank goodness, my intelligent producer Ben grabbed at the time. So round of applause for Ben, please, everybody. This, as far as I can tell, is now the only record that story was up there. I do think, just very briefly, what I think is that I think that obviously these stories are being placed by the Sussex camp, trying to build a narrative of inevitability about security being restored and expectations, obviously. But I would also say that Harry was previously offered accommodation in royal palaces when he came over. He declined it and said he wanted to stay in a hotel because he claimed that it was, security reasons or whatever. So anyway, plenty of drama with that story getting sold out. Before we get on to the main things that we're going to talk about this evening, which are the sort of emergence today, they're actually saying it was announced back in October, but nobody really realized until Jack Royston of Newsweek spotted it today, that they've effectively handed over their flagship charity, the Parents Network, to another charity. It looks very much like they're divesting themselves of all of their charitable enterprises. But as I say, we're going to get onto that. And we're also going to get onto the fact that Netflix giving the Montecito couple a notable thumbs down, not a single mention of Harry and Meghan in their, look forward to 2026. They've done, not that I expect them particularly to be in the beautiful trailer that Netflix have done, which is very cool and worth having a look at on their website. And it's like, this girl goes into a convenience store and she sees a cat and she follows the cat into the tarot reader, and the tarot reader reads her future. Falls through these different worlds with all of the characters and all the sets from all the big Netflix shows. Now, I wouldn't in the list of forthcoming shows, I think is and then we've had, just a succession of busts. I'm just getting a message from my producer saying that it's cutting out really badly. It could be a legacy of the power cut. So we're just going to try and fix something. Give us 2 minutes. I'm just waiting on instructions from my producer. So let me see what he wants me to do. Okay. Okay. Right, we're going to switch down the definition. Ben, I've switched the definition down to 480, but I think that's only the camera resolution. Sorry, I apologize, everybody. Is that better? Is that better? Are we good? Should I continue? Okay, let's continue. I'm sure if there's a problem, Ben will let me know. And Ben, obviously, if there's anything you can do to fix it at your end, please go ahead and do that. So yeah, so I live in a fairly rural location, so combination of the power cut and Starlink is what we use, and it can take a few minutes to get going, or it can actually take a few hours to get up to maximum capacity after a power cut. So anyway, let's see what happens. So story that I did today on the Royalist on Substack, which I headlined, Harry and Meghan shrink their US footprint as charity is handed off and Netflix pipeline sputters. So what I find really that I think is a big problem for the Sussexes is that it looks very much like they are divesting themselves of everything in the United States. Right. So now we have literally their most high profile US charity, the Parents Network. And that is the charity that is focused on mitigating online harms to children from social media, and has literally been the centerpiece of their entire operation. You may remember Harry did this, I thought, very moving speech where he said, who do you have on your phone? I have my kids on my phone. And then they had this wall of kids, who'd taken their lives due to social media bullying. But there's always been a massive tension, as the Royalist has always pointed out. There has always been a massive tension between what Harry's tried to do with that charity, which is to say, get your kids off social media, basically, is the short version of it, and what Meghan has done consistently over the past few years, which is to make the children a central part of the narrative that she sells of her sort of domestic fantasia on social media. So, and I think it's become increasingly difficult, actually, for them to hold these two opposing positions at the same time. I think they have looked so hypocritical. And I think that even more damaging than that, it's been very apparent that there is internal conflict within the marriage about this issue, right? Because we have Harry going on podcasts saying, the guys who control social media are evil and they're trying to farm your kids' brains and et cetera, whilst at the same time, Meghan will oops, accidentally showed the kids' faces on a visit to the pumpkin patch, So they launched this charity initially under the name the Archewell Foundation Parents Network only in summer of 2024, right? And they're now saying that actually when Harry did the event in October, that is when they announced I'm sorry, I've just got to turn that off. God, that's terrible, terribly unprofessional. I blame it all on the power cut. They're now saying that they announced it in October. Well, if you launch your charity in the summer of 2024 and it's effectively not closed down, but, handed over and you've washed your hands of it by October 2025, I mean, to me, I wouldn't be a great expert in the mechanics of charities, but it doesn't seem like a gigantic success, much as it doesn't seem to me a gigantic success that your big deal with Netflix gets downgraded to a first look deal. And then when they do their announcement of what's coming up this year, nothing of yours is in it, especially not this thing that we've endlessly been told is happening, which is this adaptation of Carly Fortune's book, Meet Me at the Lake, which, you know, that was very much flagged up last year as like Netflix have confidence in the couple, they believe in them as great storytellers. Where is it? Where is that show? I mean, as far as I can tell, it's stuck in you know, production hell. Or maybe it's, you know, they've had a look at it and they've had a look at what Meghan and Harry have got to suggest about it, and pretty clearly they don't like it, or they certainly don't like it enough to make the show, which I think is the kind of significant thing. I think more broadly, what this feels like is a massive shift in focus back to the UK, right? And I think that, and it's hard to look at what's going on, the washing the hands of the charity, the end of Archewell, the firing of all the staff, right? James Holt, the last member of staff, moving back to the UK and apparently still going to be consulting for Archewell, their PR operation now being headquartered in the United Kingdom, and they're not really appearing to be any staff in the US. I mean, there is still this consultant, Shauna Knapp, working for the charity, and there's a couple of people working for Archewell, one in scripted and one in non-scripted. But, you know, the sense of continental drift is wild, right? I mean, this is a couple who seem to be refocusing their energies and their business on the United Kingdom. And I think it's hard to avoid the conclusion that, you know, like many Brits before who've gone out to America to make their fortune, it hasn't worked out, and they've come home with their tail between their legs. And I feel that's very much where it's going. Also, right, Harry is basically only really the patron of 4 charities or charitable initiatives, or whatever you want to call them, which are the Invictus Games Foundation, based in the UK, Well Child, based in the UK, Scottish Little Soldiers, based in the UK, and Travelist, based between the Netherlands and the UK. So James Holt, as I said earlier, back in the UK. Whatever, you know, mysteries lay behind that Daily Mail story yesterday, about them eyeing up Highgrove, or, you know, Highgrove potentially being on the cards for them, obviously disappearing while getting taken down. You think about that, and I totally accept that, you know, a lot of this stuff about Harry hopes that Charles will be next to him at the Invictus Games, Harry wants this, Harry wants that. A lot of it obviously is PR from the Sussex side, building a narrative to cement an expectation that Harry is going to come back to the UK. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not taking a position on that, right? I'm a journalist. I'm not on anyone's side, and I'm here to try and unpick and explain what's going on. And I've been doing this job for 20 years. I'm the European editor at large of the Daily Beast, and you know, this is my job. My job is not to be on anyone's side, you know. And frankly, for the 1 or 2 people who've messaged in saying that I need to go away or clear off, I mean, I'm not going to. It's my YouTube channel, I own it. It's my Substack, I own it. If you don't like it, don't read it and don't come here. If you only want to hear stuff that's within your echo chamber and you don't want to try and understand what's actually going on here. But for those of you who are still here, who, you know, I'm so happy to have, and so grateful to you all for liking and subscribing and keeping the channel going, I have to say that I feel that the center of gravity of the Sussex operation is moving back to the UK. And that is very clear to me what is going on. Look, would you really have the head of your PR operation working on not just a slightly different time zone, but being at 8 hours behind you? You know, let's just think about this logically. Let's think about what we can tell from what is actually going on, not supposition, but what actually happening and what is actually going on. So, uh, you know, obviously, look, this is going to cause a massive confrontation with William. That is why I suspect William has hired a crisis PR manager, an expert crisis PR manager, bulletproof sunshine, as she's described, to be his new PR person. Anybody can see what is coming down the track here. And what is coming down the track is a vastly increased, beefed up Sussex presence in the United Kingdom. And I predict it's going to start next week when Harry is in the United Kingdom for his court case. And as soon as that security decision comes through, I would say whether it comes through in his favor, which, as everybody knows, is what I think is going to happen. Maybe I'm being played by Sussex PR, but I think that is what is going to happen. Or whether he doesn't get it and has to pay for his own security, I think that you are going to see this is a couple who are on maneuvers. This is a couple who are moving. This is a couple who are leaving behind a lot of the stuff that has happened in the United States that hasn't worked out and are going back to plan A. And plan A was to be half in and half out of the royal family. And it's a massive problem for William because they're going to be under absolutely no discipline. If they have the security, they get police escorts wherever they want to go. They can do whatever they want to do. It's completely free for them to travel to. They will have a completely different level of legitimacy if they're being escorted around the country by armed police escorts and outriders and all those kind of accoutrements. And of course, this is what Harry and Meghan always said they wanted, right? They always said from the very beginning, when they issued that statement, when the whole Mexit thing originally happened, what they said from the very beginning was, you know, we want to continue serving the royal family, and we are internationally protected people, right? And that was what it originally said. It said we want to spend some of our time in North America, we want to spend some of our time here, we want to be free to earn our own money, we want to, you know. And the reality is that with very, very, you know, they are not far away from getting a lot of what they wanted then. And I think it is going to present a massive challenge for Harry. I think Charles is wrong to go against his heir because I think it's disrespectful to his heir, and I think it's unfair on his heir to bequeath him a settlement that he can't live with. But I think that it's at this stage very hard to avoid the conclusion that that is indeed where we are heading. So before we finish, one more thing. Just as the power was going down, I got an email her exciting new product, which is simple bookmark. What does it say? I fell asleep here. That I apologize. We're stuck on this picture of out, folks. Sold out. So there we are. I'm told that we're breaking up. I'm told we're breaking up very badly. So I think we're going to leave it there. We've been beset by technical gremlins tonight. I'm very grateful for those of you who stuck with us. I think there's a possibility you.